Okay, this is part 2 of the problematic history of birth control pills. At this point, we're in the 1950s, we're in Puerto Rico. There was already a clinical network in place, and the laws there were a little more liberal than in the continental U.S. And because the United States is the exhausting United States, in comes racism and eugenics. And if you aren't familiar with eugenics, it's essentially like this racial improvement theory, or like a planned breeding to breed more desirable qualities in people in and less desirable qualities in people out. Essentially, white people in, everybody else out. Because of this, you have all of these Americans who are fearful of overpopulation from Puerto Ricans. There was all of this liberal reproductive regulation due to eugenicist sentiment. For example, there were family planning clinics and people actually taught and used contraception. However, this movement also codified forced sterilization. By 1955, 16.5% of Puerto Rican women of childbearing age had been sterilized, most of whom didn't make those decisions for themselves. Meanwhile, all contraceptive materials and information were banned in parts of the United States until the 70s. So anyway, they start with a small study of about 20 Puerto Rican medical students, and they had issues from jump. It was super time consuming, and the side effects were really wild. The extra gag is that some of the professors involved in studying these students would hold it against them if they decided to drop out, like with doctor grades. Anyway, they finally get a prototype of sorts of the first birth control pill. Now that they have a pill, they need test subjects. Where do they go? A neighboring housing development for farm laborers where there was high poverty and immobility. Pincus, the trifling one from the first video, wrote, and I quote, "They recruited 265 sufficiently intelligent women for whom pregnancy would be acceptable or at worst inconvenient. They got no financial compensation, and it was pretty clear that they weren't really fully informed of what was going on. The side effects were really bad, and so a lot of people still kept dropping out of their trials. They still pushed forward and did trials in Haiti and Mexico in addition to Puerto Rico. But get this, y'all. After Rock and Pincus pack up and go back to the U.S. and the pill is becoming widely available, the pill ended up being too expensive for the laborers who participated in the studies. The effects of sterilization and lack of birth control access is still felt on the island today. All that sacrifice, nothing to show.